Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1742B and today's date is December 16th, 2018 and the title of the episode is Mainstream Media Prepping for the Falling Hammer. We knew this was coming. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, everything the deep state, the globalists have set up, it seems like one piece at a time is being chipped away. And we're starting to see that a lot of things that they tried to do are completely unconstitutional, and it was not in the benefit of the people. I've been saying for a very long time that Obamacare was never for the people. You should never have to force someone into doing something by using a penalty. Because if something is fantastic and something is so incredible, you would just go ahead and you would get it. Because it's that good. You don't have to force people into it. And I'm talking about Obamacare. Now, a U.S. district in Texas, Judge Reed O'Connor, has agreed with a coalition of 19 states that Obamacare is structurally unconstitutional without an enforced federal mandate that requires individual participation. Absent the enforcement of the individual mandate, Judge O'Connor ruled it was impossible for the Obamacare law to remain. Texas and the 19-state coalition successfully argued they've been harmed by an increase in the number of people on state-funded insurance rolls. We also, when we looked at this, we saw how insurance was going up for the middle class. Many people could not afford this insurance. It was getting out of hand. And a lot of the exchanges went completely bankrupt. So the plaintiffs argued when Congress repealed the tax penalty last year for the individual mandate, they eliminated the U.S. Supreme Court's prior rationale for finding the Affordable Care Act constitutional in 2012, and the Texas judge agreed. Now, Trump has been trying to get rid of Obamacare. I believe this was one of his campaign promises, and they tried and they tried and tried. Congress kept on shooting it down, and they eventually gave up, and then eventually they got rid of the mandate, and that went into effect, I believe, this year. And we see that Trump now is tweeting out, and he says the following: "Wow. But not surprisingly, Obamacare was just ruled unconstitutional by a highly respected judge in Texas. Great news for America." He also said, "As I predicted all along, Obamacare has been struck down as an unconstitutional disaster. Now Congress must pass a strong law that provides great health care and protects pre-existing conditions. Mitch and Nancy, get it done." So here we are, and we're pushing for real health care. Now, if this plan is good, if the plan comes out and it's good for every American, there should be no tax penalties. They shouldn't have to force you into it. It should be something where everyone looks at it and says, you know something, this is fantastic. It's very low cost and I can afford this and this benefits my families. If they have to tell you over and over how great it is and they have to push you into it, it won't be good. Now, it looks like California Attorney General Xavier Becerra, well, they're putting together a coalition of Democratic attorneys that are going to try to appeal this ruling. So there's going to be a battle going on. Remember, the deep state and these individuals, they're not just going to sit back and let these things happen. But I think right now, Trump, the Patriots, they have the upper hand. I do believe they are in control. We see Special Counsel Robert Mueller turned over the 302 interview report Friday that had been requested by U.S. District Judge Emmett G. Sullivan in Washington, and Michael Flynn's defense team claimed he was pressured not to bring a lawyer to his January 24, 2017 interview with the FBI agents. Now, the original 302 report is referenced in the 302 submitted, but it does not appear to have been provided to the court. Now, that's very interesting. The 302 submitted to the court includes a number of interesting revelations, including the agents decided that they would not warn Flynn that it was a crime to lie during an FBI interview because they wanted Flynn to be relaxed, and they were concerned that giving the warning might adversely affect the rapport with the agents. The 302 also notes that Flynn did not give any indicators of deception, and that Strzok and other agents whose names was redacted from these reports both had the impression that at the time that Flynn was not lying or did not think he was lying. Now, this completely contradicts what Comey said, because Comey told the House investigative panel under oath that the conclusion of the investigators was he was obviously lying. And it looks like Comey might be caught in a lie because it seems like everything is unraveling right now. So Trump tweeted out the following. Wow, 19,000 texts between Lisa Page and her lover, Peter S. of the FBI, in charge of the Russia hoax, were just reported as being wiped clean and gone. Such a big story that will never be covered by the fake news. Witch hunt. So Trump lately has been tweeting out a lot of these tweets against Comey, against Strzok and Page, about Clinton, about fake news, about the witch hunt, and we're going to be talking about that in just a minute. But first, we know that Judicial Watch forced Hillary Clinton to testify under oath. Now, she did this in written form. She didn't appear in front of the court, and she handed over all her answers to the questions. And in the ruling from Sullivan, he ordered Clinton to describe the creation of the ClintonEmail.com system, including who decided to create the system, the date it was decided to create the system, why it was created, who set it up, and when it became operational. Now, Clinton responded to the question saying that she was aware that President Clinton's office had set up an email system, but she had no role in this process. So Justin Cooper, who was the former advisor of Bill Clinton, who had allegedly set up the controversial email server, Cooper later admitted in an FBI report to destroying Hillary Clinton's discarded mobile phones by breaking them in half or hitting them with a hammer. Now, Clinton was also ordered to respond to a question about a 2015 testimony before the U.S. House of Representatives Select Committee on Benghazi, during which she testified that 90 to 95% of the emails were in the state's system, and if they wanted to see them, they would certainly be able to do so. In her response, Clinton said she became aware of the percentage of emails that were in the state system shortly before the committee's hearing, a calculation she said she did not perform. Instead, she attached a copy of the letter dated November 13, 2015, addressed to Trey Gowdy, who was the chairman of the House Benghazi Committee. Clinton had answered that she does not recall to 20 out of the 25 written questions from Judicial Watch. So 20 out of the 25 written questions, she could not recall anything. Now, the organization's president, Tom Fitton, called Clinton's recent claim that she used the separate email system as a matter of convenience simply not credible. And it is incredible. It's absolutely ridiculous. They are going to pursue all these answers to these questions, which there's not a lot of answers here, and they're going to ask additional questions to Clinton. Now, with all of this going on, with Mueller's witch hunt and Trump continually tweeting out about this witch hunt, this has been costing the American taxpayers a lot of money. And we know this is a nothing burger. We know that this was completely made up. After all this time, Mueller can't find anything. And out of the Free Beacon, the Washington Free Beacon, they're saying that this entire operation has cost the taxpayers $25.2 million. And it's completely fake, phony, and false. Now, the statement of expenditures reveals that Mueller and his team of lawyers cost over $4.5 million for salaries, rent, an additional $3.9 million in resources from the Department of Justice. Personnel compensation and benefits cost taxpayers $2.8 million, including $1 million for special counsel office employees and $1.9 million for Department of Justice employees who have been detailed to the investigation. Between April and September, Mueller spent $580,000 on travel and transportation, $779,000 on transportation of things, $942,000 on rent and utilities, $15,000 on printing, $310,000 on contractual services, $43,000 on supplies. $43,000 on supplies. I mean, $43,000, that's more than some people make in a year. I mean, this is just unbelievable that $25 million has been spent on a fake crime which doesn't exist. But we, the people, have to pay for this. Actually, this bill should go back to those people that created it. Now, Trump tweeted out the following. Judge Ken Starr, former Solicitor General and independent counselor, just stated that after 2 years, there is no evidence of proof of collusion, and further, that there is no evidence that there was a campaign financing violation involving the president. Thank you, Judge. So once again, Trump is continually out there telling everyone there's no collusion, there's no proof of collusion, that this whole thing was fake. So $25 million for fake. That's what this is adding up to. Trump also tweeted out the following: "Never in history of our country has the press been more dishonest than it is today. Stories that should be good are bad. Stories that should be bad are horrible. Many stories, like with the real story of Russia, Clinton, and the DNC, seldom get reported. Too bad." Now, why is Trump continually telling everyone about the fake news? Why does he keep bringing up Clinton, Comey, Russia, DNC, and the rest, and saying that the news is always reporting fake information? He wants all of this on record, and he's picking out very specific things when he tweets to say, no, this is fake, because remember, Q has been telling this for a very long time. They have it all, they know all. He knows, the patriots know, that all this information that the mainstream media is putting out there is completely fake. When the hammer falls and everyone starts to learn the truth, he wants to show and go back in time, I told you it was fake news. Here's the proof. I told you it was fake news. Here's the proof. And by repeating this over and over and over, it's going into the people's subconscious. Now remember, we had Sundar, who was the CEO of Google. He was being questioned in front of Congress. And this whole Russian collusion thing, he even gave the information that Russia only spent $4,700 on advertisements during the 2016 election. $4,700 on advertisements. That really swayed the election? No. So that story, down the toilet. Actually, if you look at the dossier, that costs more money than Russia advertisement expense. I mean, the Steele dossier from Fusion GPS is like $160,000. Let's just use that number compared to $4,700 that Russia spent. Well, even if you take the $70,000 that Russia paid on Facebook, but this was also for Hillary and Trump. It wasn't just one-sided, not just, to get Trump. It was on both sides. If you add the $7,000 plus the $70,000 and the $4,700, you come up with $74,700. Still, the Steele dossier is $160,000, and that's fake. To prove that Trump, was involved in something that wasn't true at all. I mean, Fusion GPS is also claiming they were paid $1.2 million from Perkins Coie. Remember, that was the firm that was hired by Hillary. So they spent more money to set him up than Russia's ever done. This is how you know this is all fake, phony, and false. But the mainstream media, you can see they are getting prepared for the hammer to drop. Let's go back to Q's post 868. And this is an article that New York Times put up, and this was dated March 6, 2018. And Q warned us about this back then. Here comes the fake videos too. Artificial intelligence videos tools make it relatively easy to put one person's face on another person's body with few traces of manipulation. I tried it myself. What could go wrong? And they showed this video where you can have someone speaking and someone else, and it looks like that person is actually speaking when it really isn't. Under this, Q said, try as they might, fail they will, no free passes, mainstream media, and that's MSM capitals with kill brackets around it. A news article from ABC News Go just came out, and it says, seeing but not believing inside the business of deep fakes. In a video seen by millions, a man that looks and sounds just like President Obama gives an address, but instead of a polished speech, he spits out controversial opinions and even a curse word. A split screen reveals that it's not our 44th president making these comments after all, but actor and frequent Obama impersonator Jordan Peele. Why do you think New York Times and now ABC News continually putting out information that what you see you shouldn't believe? It's fake. It's video that is altered. It's impersonators. What is coming out? We know the FISA declassification, the video that took place on the tarmac, other videos that are coming out. They're going to try to convince people that all of these are fake, and they're going to use this type of technology to make people believe that is fake. But I do believe that Trump and the Patriots, they have already planned for this, because as we can see back in March, Q has already told us that this is what they're planning to do. So we see the mainstream media, they're getting prepared for the hammer to drop, because once this information starts to pour out, and a lot more starts to pour out, we're going to see the mainstream media go into overdrive. They're not going to be able to handle any of this. Now, an Anon put up what we can expect to see coming up and gave a lot of different dates. Loretta Lynch closed-door session the week of December 17th in front of Congress. Senate Intelligence Committee, Comey testifies again, that's on the 17th. General Flynn sentencing hearing on the 18th, which is Tuesday. 2:30 p.m. Senate Judiciary Subcommittee on Antitrust, Competition Policy, and Consumer Rights. Hearings to examine a comparative look at competitive law approaches to monopoly and abuse of dominance in the U.S., December 19th. We see on December 21st, which is a Friday, Director of National Intelligence Report, 2018 voter fraud. Likely the same on the 22nd. On the 22nd, which is Saturday, we see the Executive Order, Director of National Intelligence to conduct an assessment on U.S. election integrity and deliver it with supporting info to POTUS, Secretaries of State, Treasury, Defense, Homeland Security, Attorney General, no later than December 22nd. January 1st, the 2018 Executive Order, which changes the military tribunal rules. This is going to take effect on January 1st. And January 3rd, we know new Congress will be sworn in. So you can see that Q, Trump, the Patriots, they've been prepping for everything. And I think what we're going to see coming up in the next couple of months here is Q, Trump, they're going to continue to drop these carpet bombs, just like the Clinton Foundation. They want the American public to start to get used to hearing about the Clintons. They want the public to start to hear about how Comey lied, about how Flynn is innocent, how the Steele dossier was a fake, how Russian collusion was a fake, how all of this that has been done up to this point has been made up by the mainstream media and the rest of the players. And I believe that Trump is going to continually tweet about Comey, Clinton, Strzok, Page, Orr, Brennan, Rod Rosenstein, and the rest, because they need to keep this out in the public eye. Even though the mainstream media will not report on it, but the more things you can do, like the Clinton Foundation, that will force them to bring it to the public, because people are going to hear about it one way or another. They'll see it on Facebook. They'll see it on YouTube. They'll see it on Twitter. They'll see it in their feeds. And before you know it, the mainstream media, they'll have a very difficult time ignoring it. And eventually, they'll have to comment on it. And this is a good thing. Even though they're completely against it and they say it's fake, phony, and false, it brings it out into the open. And this is the whole purpose, because to have this entire plan move forward, you need the United States, the people. Don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, what color, what religion you are. We need to be united. We need everyone pointing to the real treasonous criminals. Once you establish that, once you have the majority, I'm not saying 100%, but once you have the majority woken up, first of all, you can't put them back to sleep. Secondly, once you have them all awake, all looking at the facts, seeing that they've been lied to, guess what? The deep state loses all power. The mainstream media loses all power. Everyone starts to follow facts. Everyone wants to know the facts. Everyone disregards the propaganda because they only want facts. Let me just read you a very interesting quote from Mark Twain. Now, I've read this in the past, and it's on my site, and this really explains patriots. And actually, I believe this really explains Trump and how things are going to really change as time goes on. This is from Mark Twain. In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man, and brave, and hated, and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. And I do believe as people learn the facts, as people understand what is going on, they will join the cause. They will start to realize what the real facts are. And they'll say, oh wow, every time Trump said fake news, every time the mainstream media laughed at Trump, it was always the opposite. And now the facts are coming out. The mainstream media is going to lose. The deep state's going to lose. All these players are going to lose because the truth will always shine brighter, stand taller than any type of propaganda. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.